All right. Hey, guys, welcome. The 49ers have solidified their quarterback room. Quarterback room is set. Team is done. It's all settled at the quarterback position. It's not going to be very expensive. Zach Wilson ain't the guy. Undrafted rookie. I guess could be the guy. We'll talk about that. Drafted guy. Also, in theory, could be the guy, but unlikely. Niners add a quarterback, lose a draft position this year and lose a pick next year. So it doesn't affect this year's draft necessarily in terms of what their plans would have been at quarterback. But Josh Dobbs, Adam Schefter reported it on Monday afternoon. 1 year, fully guaranteed, $2.25 million, includes another $750,000 in playtime incentives. So at maximum, Josh Dobbs would cost the 49ers $3 million. Dobbs became a pretty big NFL story last year. He was a big story against the Niners because he played well against the Niners last year, early in the year for the Cardinals. And then he really became a huge story. Actually, something else happened with the Cardinals. He became their starting quarterback and started 8 games for them, but did not have a jersey available in the team store. And so that became a story because he said, like, can my parents buy the jersey? Like, we can't buy the jersey. Maybe create a jersey was a problem, whatever. He had to go online and personalize it himself. Then he gets traded to the Minnesota Vikings. Well, he plays against the Niners, has a good game. Niners win. He goes 28 of 41 for 68%, 265, 2 touchdowns, no picks. He then gets traded to the Minnesota Vikings with a couple days notice, doesn't know everybody's name, was very rushed. He got traded to the Vikings and in less than a week played against the Falcons, which are his hometown team. He's from Alpharetta, Georgia, went to Tennessee, was a 4th-round pick. So he goes to the Vikings. He plays Atlanta, throws a touchdown pass to a player who he'd never thrown a pass to before pregame warmups, Brandon Powell, on a play that he had not run. And so a lot has been rightfully made about his brain. Aerospace engineer coming out of Tennessee, very smart, and proved it. I mean, that was part of the deal, was sometimes being smart doesn't translate, but he's a rocket scientist. So for him, apparently, it translates to learning the playbook very quickly, which is important because the 49ers require a lot of their quarterbacks. The week of preparation, I interviewed Brandon Allen, who is again now the Niners' 3rd-string quarterback during the season on the channel, and he explained how labor-intensive the week is for the quarterback. The game itself less so, but the week is where all the preparation comes in. So it does takes a smart guy to be a Kyle Shanahan quarterback, and Josh Dobbs, by the paperwork, is a smart guy, but obviously that only can take you so far. Football is different than school sometimes, but for this guy, it translates. Like, his brain works really fast in the real world, and it works really fast in the football world. So valuable guy. The contract of $2.25 million. This is a little bit more than the 49ers gave Nate Sudfeld a couple years ago. Remember, they had then drafted Brock in the 7th round. Jimmy just suddenly returned, so they had too many quarterbacks. They cut Nate Sudfeld. That was about a $2 million deal. This is $2.25 million in guarantees. Brandon Allen's re-sign recently last week was $1.2 million. But only $200,000 of that was fully guaranteed. And with Brock making about $1 million, the 49ers quarterback room is really cheap. Dobbs is making less than Sam Darnold did last year. If you keep Brandon Allen on the roster, if all 3 of these guys get their full salaries this year, which Dobbs will, it's $4.45 million. The Niners QB room is $4.45 million. So that's pretty excellent. And then I think, not just from the dollar value, but just the fundamentals of what we saw last year. This is a guy that started a lot of games last year. Started 8 games. Started 8 games for the Cardinals. Eventually got replaced in Minnesota after he started 4 games. but it was by far his highest play time of his career. He just turned 29 years old in January, so he's been around the league. He's been on now 4 teams. This is his 4th team, and I guess it's his 5th team in 4 years, 20, 21, 4th team. Sorry, forget 21. Tennessee in 22, Arizona and Minnesota in 23, and now the Niners. So his 4th team in 3 years. I'm for it. I like it. I thought that Brandon Allen, moving forward with Brandon Allen as the backup quarterback, would have been fine for the Niners. This really solidifies things for them now with the 3rd QB that can be dressed on game day and can play. The old Niner Eagle rule, not that old of a rule. I guess it was an old rule and it returned. But now we know the Niners will definitely have 3 experienced quarterbacks dressed out on game day. If they had drafted a quarterback or signed an undrafted free agent, then your 3rd quarterback is a guy who's, going to be swimming. Let's say multiple quarterbacks get hurt in the first week of the season, first month of the season. That's not going to be the case for the 49ers. So they're going to have 3 guys who've been around the block. It's interesting. Both of their backups now are guys who have been in places that do some Kyle stuff. Coming from Minnesota, that was more of it there with Kevin O'Connell. But both their quarterbacks have been around a lot of different players, a lot of different coaches, a lot of different systems. 5 teams now for Josh Dobbs. Brandon Allen was with Zach Taylor in Cincinnati. He was with Sean McVay in the Rams. So this is a really well-rounded, smart quarterback room, a quarterback room that I know some people wanted Zach Wilson. I said even this morning, for the clicks, if you're into that, that Zach Wilson would have been great. It would have made training camp interesting just to see this guy. But I didn't think it was the best thing for the organization. Even had he been cut by the Jets and you didn't have to trade for him, just forget all that. Just bringing that guy in. So this is a really, really high-level quarterback room now that the 49ers have. And I think what's interesting about Dobbs and Allen, they're guys who've played. They're guys who've played for smart coaches. But they're also guys who have been backups now most of their careers, right? Even Dobbs, who started 12 games last year, he's been a backup most of his career. He understands the role. He gets the responsibility. It's about getting yourself ready. It's about getting ready in case of emergency, but it's also about supporting the other quarterbacks in the room and making sure that your defense gets good looks, particular weeks maybe, and making sure that the other skill guys who might get a chance to play are ready, even if they're not the A1 starters. So there's a fair amount of responsibility that comes with it. A bad quarterback in the QB room can be a problem. And guys that really support you, they can be a second brain. That's really helpful. I think I've mentioned it before, a story I heard a couple years ago of an NFL starter who they had multiple, obviously, quarterbacks on their roster. And he thought that the backup quarterback was kind of a lazy guy and was not very helpful to him. And so what he asked as the starter was for the 3rd quarterback, this was before the rule change, to be allowed to dress on game day, to be rewarded for how involved he was, and to get him more involved on the sidelines. He wanted that guy's help. His 3rd quarterback was more helpful to him than his backup quarterback in game in terms of helping him decipher what is happening out there and just being a second brain for him. So those guys are valuable. Trey Lance got a lot of credit from the Niners when he became the backup quarterback, but was still involved in helping Brock Purdy, even when he was back from injury-ish, involved in just kind of helping things out. So, there's definitely a value. There's definitely a value there. And then the value fundamentally of what if he has to play? I think a backup quarterback's job is not to go out and win you 5 games. If your backup quarterback has to start for a month, then you got problems. Most guys are not going to be able to go 3-1. If you told me next year your backup quarterback has to start 4 games for any team, hopefully he goes 2-2. 3-1 feels like a major win. 1-3 is, depending on the guy, kind of understandable. So this is a guy who's started a lot, who's played a lot, who's been ready to play, who's won games, who's been effective. 13 touchdowns, 10 interceptions last year, 15 touchdowns, 13 interceptions for his career. So I love it. I think it's a really good signing. It doesn't 100% mean that they don't say they just like a guy in the 7th round or an undrafted free agent. They could. They've done it before. But I think I was not in favor of it, as you know, because they do a good job in the 7th round. I wouldn't mess around. This team needs too much right now, and maybe you can find things that you can find guys that might be able to contribute a little bit. So they've done it before with guys who contribute right away, as well as guys who don't. Juwan Jennings, a Niners 7th rounder, college teammates of Joshua Dobbs. The greatest highlight of Jennings' career, one of the great catches in Tennessee history, I remember watching the play a lot when they drafted him, was a big Hail Mary catch. Josh Dobbs threw it. Juwan Jennings also threw a touchdown to Josh Dobbs at Tennessee. These guys did a jersey swap this year, so they've obviously got some history there. Here's a photo of the two of them while at Tennessee. It looks like on maybe a weekly Tennessee show or something like that. Juwan Jennings had the old chin strap going. Josh Dobbs is checking his phone there. So that's kind of fun. Just a fun little element here of the relationship between Juwan Jennings and Josh Dobbs. Nothing but positive things to say. I think this is a really, really good move for the Niners. They got lucky last year that Brock never had to miss time. That's not normal, as we know. If you watch the Niners, you know that's not typical to have a quarterback not miss time. I would have been comfortable if Brandon Allen had to play a game, but now you're even more comfortable, especially with a team who's gotten to QB3 before. So now you got a really solidified group. He's been traded once at the deadline. Who knows if it came to it? Maybe you could do it again. So anyway, that's what I like about that. One other piece of news too today. Mike sent a message, said thoughts and prayers to anyone doing Niners content. The Zach Wilson thumbnails were going to get lots of views. Then there was also this news today. Tom Pelissero, the Niners will forfeit their 5th round selection next year. They're losing their 2025 5th round pick. They also are going to lose their draft position in the 4th round this year. Instead of pick 131, they now get bumped back to 135. This action resulted from a league review that found administrative payroll accounting errors at the close of the 2022 league year that resulted in misreporting of the club's cumulative player compensation. The NFL determined that the club would have remained under the salary cap at all times, regardless of the error, and there was no intent to circumvent the cap. So the Niners, this wasn't a situation where they would have been over the cap had they hadn't fudged the books and then they fudged the books to get under the cap. That's not what happened, but they did make a mistake and apologized for it and got punished. 5th round picks are not nothing. I mean, that's significant. 5th round picks can help you move up. 5th round picks can help you get players. The Niners, we'll see. I mean, I don't think Robert Beal, but he was a 5th rounder. Jalen Moore, Diamador Lenore. I mean, Diamador Lenore is going to come into the year as one of the most interesting players on the Niners. He was a 5th rounder. Jalen Moore, who's played in 40 games for the Niners, he was a 5th rounder. Colton McKivitz, their starting right tackle, he was a 5th rounder. Dre Greenlaw, he was a 5th rounder. DJ Reed wasn't good for them, but was good for somebody else. He was a 5th rounder. I skipped over Talanoa Hufanga. He was a 5th rounder. George Kittle, he was a 5th rounder. So that is not insignificant. End of the 4th round. Niners don't have a lot. We've talked about this. They don't draft in the 4th round a lot. At least they haven't. But Mitch Wishnowsky was a 4th rounder. Spencer Burford, which is like Spencer Burford. That's a significant 4th rounder. The guy's basically been a 2-year starter. So they lose a couple spots. They lose a couple spots there. And, a few spots can be the difference. The Niners weren't about to draft Josh Dobbs, probably. But Dobbs draft, that was the 2017 draft. The Niners drafted, it was one of the early Shanahan era famous 4th-round picks, 2017. I'll give you, I'll do a countdown here, trivia question. Who did the Niners draft ahead of Josh Dobbs in the 4th round? 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. Joe Williams. Joe Williams was the Niners signing or draft pick. They drafted Joe Williams ahead of George Kittle. Joshua Dobbs was drafted ahead of George Kittle, so that was the same draft. He was drafted like I don't know, I'm eyeballing 13 spots ahead of Kittle. So, yeah, 4th-round pick and 5th-round pick, significant. Anyway, on the Dobbs thing, I love it. Like, it's great. For those of you who've watched or listened to what I've said about quarterbacks the last few weeks, I was not a fan of the Niners drafting a quarterback in this draft. So, this probably puts an end to that. I don't know how much of a beginning there was to it. Anyway, but let's get to some of your comments. The Pastronaut. That's right. That's his Josh Dobbs' nickname. Dobbs might be the most talented quarterback the Steelers have drafted since Big Ben. I mean, it ain't Kenny Pickett ain't the guy. Maybe somebody had a comment here that maybe Josh Dobbs should do the accounting since he's so smart. Yes. Thank God the Zach Wilson rumors lasted all of a hot second. Those were so asinine. Yeah, there we go. It was Bangs that said Dobbs will help the accounting department. Dobbs, Zach Wilson. Yes. Yeah, good. Antoine says, can't teach Brock a lot since he's so polished, but the Dobbs experience will be good for him to learn off of. You know, I mean, the guy's been around. So a lot of players have something to offer. You know, even if you're not a starter, doesn't mean you have something to offer. But to me, it's more about, it's not about like, here's something that happened 3 years ago. Here's a story that will help you, Brock. It's more about having another set of eyes that can quickly discern. So when you come to the sideline, here's what I'm seeing. Here's what I'm seeing. Here's what I'm seeing. What are you seeing? When a guy needs help, a second set of eyes, second brain is what I call it. And I think it's, you know, I don't know how you quantify it, but it's really valuable. You know, I wouldn't call it having an assistant necessarily, but there's only so many guys, and Brian Greasy knows this. There's only so many guys, though, that really have stood in your shoes and stood in that pocket and tried to figure out, you know, on the sidelines what they're seeing and if it's really the same as what the coaches are telling you or what the photos are telling you. And yeah, I think it's great. Jesse, the Pastronaut, perfect backup, way better than Wilson. Better player, better in every way. Better player, better in the locker room, cheaper, less famous, just better in every way. Brunel says a guy with the Niners taking care of as many needs now in free agency. Do you think they will likely trade up in the first with them having 10 picks as well? Every week we look up, they're losing a pick. I hope they have 10 picks by the time here's the other thing. Are they going to have 10 picks by the time we get to the draft? Or is there going to be, don't forget, you could, Thursday night, somebody somewhere on the clock, multiple draft picks for a player. I guess you could do that. So that said, yeah. I mean, I'm going to talk to, let's see. I think this is going to be tomorrow on this show. We can do this tomorrow, Wednesday. Wednesday, I'm going to do something that I think is fun. I think you guys will like. My buddy, Jeff Schwartz, who played in the NFL in offensive line, now does podcast, media stuff, betting. But he is on the Joe Moore Award committee. So he Jeff votes every year for the best offensive line award in college football. He played at Oregon, had a great career and played in the NFL. And he's going to come on the show, and I want him to tell me which offensive lineman is most likely to be available to the 49ers, or if there's one he really likes that he thinks will be available in the 20s, will the Niners need to move up to get that guy? So, I'm inclined to move up if there's a guy you really like you think he can start at right tackle right away and he can be Trent Williams' replacement at left tackle, then I'd be inclined to move up. But it will not be cheap to move up. Nothing worth doing, I guess, is cheap in the draft. So I'll do that on Wednesday morning. Jeff is going to jump in and I'm going to ask him who he likes, who can the Niners realistically get. And I think the question is, like, where is the cutoff line? I like this guy at 31, but there's this other guy in the 20s probably. How much better is he? Is he worth getting up for? So Bruneel, check that out. We can talk more about that on Wednesday. They told me that they told me that I wouldn't have to change. They told me I can listen at a reasonable volume. Nolan says, be okay with drafting 10 linemen. Josh won't bring any QB drama. That's for sure. I need to see Office Space now. It is what comment. I mean, I guess that movie was made, 28 years ago, something like that. 99. Woo! Yeah. Go watch Office Space. I think it holds up. Hard to know, if it's a movie you like. I try to, I always remember being a younger guy working in the broadcasting, like radio show, and guys would quote movies, and I'd be like, I don't get and they would keep doing it. And I guess their buddies, who are my age now, they liked it, but I was like, don't do it. I try not to do it because but that's a good one. Yeah, I would. That's an easy watch. I try the main character from that movie. He's got a show on Netflix right now. It's okay. It's not okay. Don't watch it. It's not good. Would love to trade up 17. Into the 17 or 22 range. Yeah, I mean that'll be expensive. That'll be expensive. Now, if you hit the pick, no one will be mad about it. Everyone will be happy. Alex Smith asked, could JJ have won MVP in the Super Bowl? Yes. Yes, he could have. There's a couple other. This wasn't it. When are you watching Dune 2? I don't know. My buddy Pat told me he just went and saw it. 70 millimeter IMAX Metreon, said it was great. My wife gets like motion sickness, and I think the IMAX might be a little much. So I'm gonna slip her some Dramamine and we'll go watch. But I don't know. I just watched the first Dune like 3 weeks ago. Hoping they trade up for J.C. Latham. Okay, 9 lineman and Brendan Rice. BA reports. Yeah, I'm gonna talk about that. I've got a thought on that tomorrow morning. I'll get to BA some of what's going on. So many positive comments. Josh is going to be great for the Niners. I mean, folks, this is the internet. Positive comments are welcome. I guess this is kind of a rare. Usually the chat is arguing about something. Even like Eric Kendricks, I liked it. Not everybody did. I don't know. I didn't do like a live stream, so it's hard to have my finger on the pulse. Devondre Campbell, I don't. It's fine. As I said it this morning, so I won't dive back into it. But whatever. I don't think it's great. But you need somebody. So whatever. It's fine. Guy thoughts on March Madness. Didn't love Colorado getting the play-in. I think Oregon can make some noise. I hope the Cougs win 2 games. Washington State. Arizona lost, but maybe they need the rest. My buddy Casey Jacobson's going to be on the show this week. Maybe Not tomorrow. Maybe that'll be Wednesday too. I don't know. And we'll do some. I'll do some bracket breakdown with him. So, yeah. All right. That's that. I think that's it. Love it. Tennessee in honor of Dobbs and Jennings. I like it. It's solid. It's really easy. Check another box. They still need more, but check a box. Like Devondre Campbell off the edge, not so much in space. Well, space is kind of the game, isn't it? Jared says this was the big move that Mike Silver referenced. Maybe the big move is a trade. TC says, y'all sound crazy. Everyone likes Dobbs because he lit the Niners up. Crazy ass fuck. Bring in Colt McCoy too while we're at it. People are trading BA to... Oh, I meant sideline to sideline. I meant not sideline to sideline. Yeah. But I mean, think about Dre Green. Just close your eyes and look at Dre Greenlaw. Like, what's he doing? He's hauling ass sideline to sideline. You know? But hey, he's not Dre Greenlaw. That's why he's available. Dre Greenlaw's hurt. So... All right. I love hanging. Thanks for the quick hang. Impromptu Monday. It's I gotta go. Help with dinner. Okay, everybody. Talk to you later. Bye.